Good morning. Yesterday, we started our 6th year of St. Luke's on Broadway sermon series, and we started it by looking at the musical In the Heights. If you were worshiping with us yesterday, I tried telling you all about the musical and how it came to be, but really trying to help you look also at Zephaniah, one of the last books in the Bible in the Old Testament, and trying to see the values that we could be learning in our faith that also showed up and were portrayed in this musical. Well, this morning I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about Lin-Manuel Miranda and tell you a story about how some of these things came about, this musical In the Heights, that I didn't get to tell you yesterday in the sermon. It turned out that he was a sophomore in college at Wesleyan University when he began having this idea of trying to talk about his life and so many people that he knew who were growing up in Washington Heights. And to just kind of give a glimpse into people's lives and the struggles that people had who were from other countries or were first generation immigrants. And so he wrote this musical. He started working on it. And then he got the opportunity to produce what he had now written at a student-run theater there on campus. It was going to be in 1999, and he had to do everything, creating the props, choosing the cast, teaching the music, but he had written it, created it. What an opportunity for him. But he ran into a problem. And the problem was they were moving towards the new millennium, the celebration. You remember when we celebrated the year 2000. Well, all the bands that he would have been coming to play for the musical were already booked. They had gigs. They didn't have time to be learning new music. They didn't have time to be performing at a theater musical. He couldn't get music for the musical where he now could produce it at the student-run theater. And so what he did was he decided he was not going to miss this opportunity. He went to a recording studio, and there he decided they would cut the tracks with these professional musicians. He would pay them to create the tracks, and he would have the people who were in the cast sing the songs. He had to borrow money to be able to do this. But he did it. The people sung the songs, they created the tracks so they could have the musical, and then he took what he had, the CD of the singers doing this professionally there at his recording studio, and he produced a CD and then sold the CD to raise the money to repay the loan. Well, he got it all accomplished, and it was 2 years later that an alumni of Wesleyan University, a man named Tommy Kail, who graduated a couple of years before Lin-Manuel and yet knew of him, and they were casual friends, he got a hold of this CD and he loved it. He loved it so much that he went to Lin-Manuel and said, look, as you were graduating, if you were serious and want to work on this, I would be willing to collaborate with you to work on this to see if we can get this to be an off-Broadway production. Lin-Manuel likes to say that if it had not been for the fact that he couldn't get a band, he would not have produced a CD that Tommy Kail would have listened to and come to Lin-Manuel and said, I'd like to help you. How often it is when things don't work out the way you plan, you have a problem, it really becomes one of the greatest blessings in your life. It's amazing how often doors open because there's some problem you had that seemed such a struggle in the moment. I believe that's the way God works in our lives. That it is God who doesn't let those problems and the struggles become the last word in our lives. Right now, I think of all the problems and disappointments and struggles we have because of this coronavirus, the pandemic. And what I wonder is, how many wonderful things are going to come out of it because God will use it to help open doors in our lives, and things that were problems will turn out to be blessings. For Tommy Kail, he loved collaborating with Lin-Manuel, and in the end, they did create In the Heights. And when he went to Broadway, he was the director. Tommy Kail was the director, and he got nominated for a Tony Award. Didn't win, but he got nominated and became very famous. And when Lin-Manuel produced Hamilton, who do you think he turned to be the director to collaborate on that? Is Tommy Kail. And who would be nominated for Tony Award? And this time win. Changed Tommy's life as well. You know, there are so many wonderful stories I wanted to tell that I couldn't get into my sermon yesterday that I'm going to start producing again, what I do every year during the Broadway series called The Pastor's Cut. All those wonderful stories that I couldn't get into the sermon that got cut, wound up on the editing floor, well, I'm going to try to produce those every week on Tuesday morning. Monday's a very busy day, just running the church. Tuesday morning, I'm going to try to get it produced and see if we can get it posted online. And if you'd like to know more about In the Heights, here's some more, I believe, inspiring stories of people's lives who are involved with it, then you can follow that whenever you'd like the rest of the week. In the meantime, I hope you'll look at today and the problems and the struggles we have and give God thanks for being in your life and knowing He's going to lead you into the future. And those unsuspecting, wonderful things can happen. Go out and have a great day.